So, I have a lot of things on my mind and I want to talk about them. And I'm alone right now. The two people that I live with, both of them are not here. So, and that doesn't happen too terribly often. So, I actually have the space to speak at a higher volume without fear of being heard or any sort of like self-consciousness. So, yeah, I just really needed to express some of what it is that I'm feeling. And I just like, I don't know, I feel like all over the place. There's so many things that I could say. I feel like I'm not a real person. Like, I'm not grounded, or I don't have like a stable sense of self, or like a positive self identity right now. And I know that a lot of that, and I was writing about it earlier, like a lot of it is because of the fact that I moved from Iowa to here, Reno, Nevada, and I'm in a new environment and living with people after having lived alone for the past 3 years. So that in itself is a difficult like adjustment, I guess. And for me, I'm sort of like more of a private person, and I'm not like giving excuses, just sort of explaining my disposition and why it's making the situation more difficult. So, yeah, I have really bad anxiety, really bad social anxiety and general anxiety, and it just makes it really difficult to, I don't know, to like coexist with other people in the sense that I don't want to be disruptive. And it's almost like I have this like shame towards being a human. And I know it's like, it's whatever. And another thing is the fact that because of the fact that I have like this self-consciousness, like I'm hesitant to like carry out any action. So that also means carrying out any sort of like positive action. So I feel like I'm like dead weight here because this friend of mine, I don't really want to like get into too much detail about the people that I'm living with because like it's not really my business to give out, but since they relate to my situation, I can sort of like touch on them a bit as it relates to what I'm talking about. So the the girl who invited me to live with her and her boyfriend here in Reno, I met her online through another person that I met online, and I've known her for over 4 years. And I met her once, like 3 years ago, and I came here to visit her back in January, and then after a couple of weeks, she then said, "Hey, like you can stay here, basically." And so then I went back and then did all the preparations to moving here. And again, I don't really want to like go into too much detail, I guess, about certain things, but it's been really difficult on a lot of levels. And anyway, what I was like getting at is as far as my self-consciousness towards like doing any sort of action and then being like paralyzed because of that. um i I don't feel like I have like a sense of like independence at this time, since like my friend generously like has been like supporting me, and I am just really in a bad place mentally, and I feel like a piece of shit. And I just feel that like resistance within myself, and I just want to be a better person and to not feel crippled by this anxiety. And I just want to be able to like openly and creatively express myself and be useful. And it's just the whole fact is I am being triggered by this living in situation, triggered in the sense that I'm sort of like regressing in a sense. I don't really want to use the word regress, but like I'm being triggered in the sense that I'm acting out in a way that I did when I was a child because of my parents and the way that they behaved. And I'm not saying that as if the two people I'm living with are like my parents. I just mean that since I'm in a new situation and all that, whatever, I just find myself being more conscious of the fact that like certain like a certain like a certain mentality that I hold, or certain things that I think had been established in childhood through the influence of my parents and how they treated me. So then I have these assumptions essentially that the two people I'm living with now are going to react in a way that my parents did. And basically, it's not that it's even like specific to them. It all just comes down to the relationship I have with my parents. It's always like affecting and it has set the tone for all of my engagements, all of my interactions, the way I relate to people and my level of trust towards them, which isn't high. And that's the whole thing: inhibitions and childhood trauma shit, and me feeling this like hesitance right now, not being entirely articulate and just not wanting to be judged because I guess I'm going to post this publicly and it's not even that interesting. And I'm just sort of rambling and I feel really alone and my mind's just like not organized at all. And on top of that, yeah, on top of like whatever, me trying to like regain my independence because I was going to school and like I had more of a structure prior to moving here. So here I just feel like I've been kind of just like hanging out and feeling insecure and not really having had much support. I don't want to put any blame on anyone else, but just I'm just saying that I haven't had as much like companionship as I would like, and it would be helpful to have like someone to help me and show me around, and because I haven't really done that, and I've been here for like over 2 months and I just have a lot of anxiety and I just need to, I guess, find other people to help me get out, I guess. I don't know. And another thing, it's like my moods, it's always like fluctuating and cycling, and I just like can go from feeling okay and happy and good and then feeling like fucking miserable just because one thought taints my fucking mind. And I just I feel like I'm like clogged up, like congested with all these like fucking like hodgepodge emotions, and I just need to get it all out, and I need to be more decisive, and that's another source of anxiety, this like indecision, uncertainty. I want to be better at making decisions. So yeah, insecurity, trying to fucking conquer that shit, and then understanding what my triggers are and trying to work around that and take the steps that I can to be a better person and to be where I need to be or whatever. And that's another thing, like I just feel like on top of all that, like towards my like effort towards growing and being in a more stable position, being more self-sufficient and independent, and keep getting the anxiety under control and feeling empowered. Well, on top of all that, it's like while I strive towards that, it's like then I just like feel plagued by the reality, or not reality necessarily, but like my feeling of like the pointlessness of everything and how I'm just like heading towards death, and decay is just happening right now, and it's like I'm in the process of degradation. Yeah. And I just like it's frustrating, that feeling of like being stuck in yourself, or feeling like self-conscious, or feeling like reluctance and hesitating and just feeling clunky and blocked. And I just want to be more free flowing and be more confident and self assured and open-hearted. I want to be just open-hearted and allowing myself to be perceived as wrong or foolish, and that it's okay, and I just want to be like real, and I just want to like have an open heart, and I want to actually like help other people too. Like I want to actually be someone that others feel that they can talk to and that will give them understanding. Like I actually really want to do that. I want to be that person, and I think that's what will make me feel less fucking disgusted by the pointlessness about shit. The overwhelming, fucking chaotic, seemingly haunting pointlessness. And I guess that's where I'm gonna leave it off, because this is about 11 minutes long, and yeah, it feels really good to actually kind of speak out loud and to get into that flow of speaking, because there have been many times, long stretches of time, where I didn't speak much, and I had very limited like social interaction. So there were many times where I was not speaking to anyone really at all for, you know, periods of time. So then I kind of like didn't really know how to then fluently speak. I mean, obviously I knew how to fluently speak, but I just felt like it was more difficult like forming sentences and like putting thoughts into words. So I mean, I've come a long way, and I'm definitely a lot better, and I'm surrounded by people more consistently these days, so I'm not in isolation. If anything, like, I don't have a lot of space. So, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it off on that, and, I don't know. If anybody is watching this, if you're watching this, and you have any sort of like problem, or you want to talk about something, you have a question, and you feel like fucking projecting that onto me, a random person who is just going to respond and say things, I mean, what could it hurt? I don't know. You can try it. I will give my thoughts, but I don't know. That's it.